Have you kept up with your training?
Obviously not.
Well, perhaps it is time to begin again.
Part 1 of Ahsoka's show was solid, and after some other recent disappointments gave us new hope, pun intended, for a Disney show to be great again. Can the second episode deliver as well? Hi there, it's Micha. Stay with me if you like to find out. The second part, titled Toil and Trouble, shows us Sabine awaking in a hospital, having survived the attack. As Sabine had unlocked the map before it was taken but couldn't identify the planet shown on it, and the droids destroyed all of her records, there is no clue to follow. However, Ahsoka expected another droid to be left behind at Sabine's place to finish her off, which was correct. Using the droid's head, Sabine manages to track its origin to Corellia, where Morgan Elsbeth used to have a starship yard. While Ahsoka and Hera headed there, Ahsoka opted to leave Sabine behind, to recuperate. Meanwhile, Baylan Skoll and his apprentice Shin Hati have located the place where the map is supposed to be used, the planet Cetos. There they meet with Elsbeth, who unlocks the map which reveals the pathway to Peridia, something that the Jedi used to call a fairy tale. Asking her master in private what they stand to gain by bringing back Tran, Skoll answers,
For some, war. For others, a new beginning.
And for us?
Power. Such as you've never dreamed.
Back in the hospital, Sabine complains to Huyang about how Ahsoka was not willing to continue her training, to which she answers that she never signaled any interest in continuing it either, putting blame for the situation on both women.
Forgot how annoying you are.
Logical.
While still ending up motivating Sabine to continuing her apprenticeship. Meanwhile, Ahsoka and Hera have a similar discussion where Ahsoka indicates that they both have to feel ready to continue their journey, and not sooner. At the shipyard, the two uncover that some of the former Imperials still work for Elsbeth, secretly building ship parts for their cause. The newest one, a large hyperdrive, is just about to take off. Ahsoka tries to prevent the ship from leaving, but is stopped by another assassin droid and the masked minion named Marok, both engaging her in a fight where Marok is revealed to use the weapon of an Inquisitor. While Marok escapes, Hera and Chopper, her astromech sidekick and also a former member of a rebel team, manages to tag the ship before it leaves, allowing them to track its location. Back on Lothal, Sabine is cutting off her long hair and suiting up in her Mandalorian gear. She then contacts Ahsoka with only one sentence, "I am ready." Ahsoka then picks her up and they start their journey to Cetos, where the tracked hyperdrive went. There we see the part being placed into a giant construct in orbit, while Baylan informs Elsbeth that he feels Ahsoka is coming.
Nothing can prevent our journey.
To kill her would be a shame. There are so few Jedi left.
The second part again was quite exposition heavy, but also not boring. There were some action scenes at the shipyard that were quite entertaining, even though I summarized them in just a sentence. Like in the previous episode, this is designed to balance the setup new viewers need to understand the backstory and the new events, while it offers fan service for the audience familiar with the animated shows, which enough action in between to also allow for character development without feeling slow-paced. Here a quick summary of the nods to the animated show I noticed. At the shipyard we see the Phantom, the away shuttle of Hera's main vessel, the Ghost. There we also get a first glimpse at Chopper, the coolest astromech in the entire franchise. As great as R2-D2 is, he can't hold a candle to this one, at least in my opinion. Chopper is easily annoyed, tempered and sometimes a bit of an asshole, but he always does the right thing. In the animated show he even uses weapons to save his crew on occasion. In a nutshell, he is the most human droid you will ever meet. Speaking of droids, he also made a friend along the way, a droid named AP5, who also joined the team. Someone looking just like him can also be seen in that scene, though the color is a little bit different and that one still appears to have the restraining bolt attached to his chest, which makes droids complacent. So it might just have been a similar model working at the yard. If that is correct, then I hope the real AP5 will still make an appearance, as the dynamic between him and Chopper is always fun.
I knew you had a malfunctioning logic circuit.
I hope even more that Chopper not just had this small cameo. He pretty much was the star of the animated show, many may argue. So more of him, please. Of course, chopping off her hair brought back Sabine's look from the animated show, and the scene near the end where Sabine looks at the mural of her team she painted and is then picked up by Ahsoka is taking us back to the final scene of the Rebels finale, which happened after a time jump, bringing it full circle.
As for me, I used to think that Ezra was counting on me to protect Lothal, the planet and the people he cared for so much. But one day, I realized there was more to it. There was something else I was meant to do. Ezra's out there somewhere, and it's time to bring him home.
Some may argue that this was a different scene, as in the animated version Ahsoka was carrying a staff, dressed in a white cloak, interpreted as some kind of her leveling up, but I guess there was no hidden meaning behind her getup and the scenes are meant to show the same moment. We will find out in the future. As for the episode itself, it was again well acted and the action and special effects didn't disappoint. The same question as before remains unanswered: why is the map ancient and still shows the way to Thrawn? They tried to explain parts by the map showing a pathway that was just considered a legend before. But that doesn't explain how Thrawn was ending up exactly there and how Morgan knows that he is there. I still think that they will just put it up to her witchcraft, and I guess I can live with it if that is the only head scratcher of that kind that is put into this show. Huyang reveals in the hospital that Sabine indeed is the least powerful Padawan he ever met.
I have known many Padawans over the centuries, and I can safely say your aptitude for the Force would fall short of them all.
But it doesn't answer if she is just weak in that regard, or if she has no powers at all. What irritated me a bit was him mentioning that the lightsaber was given to her by Ezra. Technically, he gave it to Chopper for safekeeping. I have no issue with Sabine having it, it was just incorrect that Ezra left it with her. But since Huyang wasn't present back then, that could be considered as just someone giving him a flawed recount of events. I like the fact that they again touched on the question of what happened to former Imperials and their factories, including the fact that some are still loyal to the fallen regime. And they again showed how over their heads the New Republic is in keeping track of those things, as they were not even aware the shipyard is still operational. Regarding Marok, it is now clear that they use an Inquisitor's weapon, quite aptly, so it is likely that they are a former Inquisitor, adopting a new name or reclaiming their original name, as Inquisitors are usually named Fifth Brother or Seventh Sister and so on. However, that does not have to be the case. Being masked, it's highly likely that this is a character that our heroes may know. A popular theory is that Ezra is behind the mask, as he always was attracted a bit to the dark side. However, I do not believe that, as that would be cruel to fans on one hand, and also wouldn't make sense. If Thrawn is not back, why should Ezra be, and if he made it back alone, why didn't he get back to his team? More likely is someone like Barriss Offee, a Jedi who was Ahsoka's friend but framed her for murders she herself committed, which led to Ahsoka not rejoining the Order after they dropped her. That would bring that story full circle and make complete sense. Also, Barriss did so to showcase how the Jedi lost their way, being warriors now instead of peacekeepers. That would also fit in with her joining Balin's team, as he likely is just a former Jedi, but maybe no Sith. Something in between. The cause they serve would not be a fit to that narrative, but maybe Barriss has changed in that regard and now serves whoever pays most. We will for sure find out who is behind that mask, but let me know your theories in the comments.
I'm ready.
They did a solid job of showcasing how the two main characters, Ahsoka and Sabine, somehow find a way to reconcile, though the reason for their parting of ways still remains unknown. Like mentioned before, nice that they also take care of the character development. The story overall, like many episodes of The Mandalorian, feels a bit like an adventure game, where you have a quest or clue to follow for a chapter and then get another one at the end to set up the next stage. Something I have no problem with, but which may annoy some viewers. And with that being said, let's go to the rating, but before we go there, let me ask you to like and share this video if you enjoyed it so far. And if you're no subscriber yet, maybe consider to change that. By also hitting the notification bell, you will get a heads up for most of my new videos. Now for the rating. I enjoyed this episode as well, especially Chopper's live action introduction, though I hope we will see him in real action and not just plugged into the side of the ship. If you haven't seen Star Wars Rebels, know that it is even worth it just for Chopper alone, though there is much more you may enjoy. I pretty much have the same opinion of the second part of the series as I had for the first. It is entertaining, does a solid exposition job, preparing the show to jump to hyperspeed, hopefully, and builds on the story from other franchise properties in an elegant way. Therefore I'm rating it with 7.5 out of 10 points. I would be happy to see the show reaching higher, but would also be satisfied if it just keeps up this level. Not to jinx things, but please let this show not pull a Nick Fury and become as disappointing as Secret Invasion turned out. My hopes are still high, so fingers crossed. What about you? Was the episode better for you as the previous one, or did you like that one more? Or did you not like anything about the show so far? What are your theories? Whatever you like to share, let me know in the comments. So much for now, see you next time, and thanks for watching. That would bring the full story. That would bring that story full circle and make complete sense. That would also fit in with her joining Balan's team